some reason it's not popping up. Oh, there it is. Yeah, we're a little early, so I'm just going to hang out for a minute. We're about 8 minutes early, so if you guys are there, I can chat with you guys in the chat. For some reason it's not popping up. I don't know if I like this minute delay. I got that new system going. There it is. Yeah, we're a little early, so I'm just going to hang out for a minute. We're about 8 minutes early, so if you guys are there, I can chat with you guys in the chat. A little early. We're a little early. It's not popping up. I'm just getting a few things set up. I don't know if I like this minute delay. How's everyone doing? Hey, if you're there in the chat, let me know you're in the chat so I know who it is. Type in a message. Yeah, we're a little early. I like to know who's watching. For a minute. I like to be able to communicate and talk with you guys. If you guys are there, I can chat with you guys in the chat. I'm sure a little early. We're a little early. One just left. He must not be a fan. I'm just getting a few things set up. I don't know if I like this minute delay. How's everyone doing? Hey, if you're there in the chat, let me know you're in the chat so I know who it is. Type in a message. Yeah, we're a little early. I like to know who's watching. For a minute. I like to be able to communicate and talk with you guys. If you guys are there, we're basically good to go. I'm sure a little early. We're a little early. Oh, maybe. Let's see. We got 5 watching. All right. Well, I mean, I am a little early. I know we're supposed to be going at 8, but I'm still learning this new process on this whole thing. But let's see. I guess we'll start off with this. I like to be able to communicate and talk with you guys. If you guys are there, we're basically good to go. Sure, a little early. We're a little early. Oh, maybe. Let's see. We got 5 watching. All right. Well, I mean, I am a little early. I know we're supposed to be going at 8, but I'm still learning this new process on this whole thing. But let's see. The big fish. We'll start off with this. I don't know. I'm running out of room. I might have to do something different. I'm actually happy about these because these were the only plaques that I haven't gotten, or one of the awards that we haven't gotten for fishing the TBF. I've gotten everything else, but I hadn't gotten the team tournament trail one of these plaques. It's not a first place, but hey, I wanted to get some plaques. Me and Avery, we were able to get it done, so let's see. I'm excited. The big fish. I don't know. I'm running out of room. I might have to do something different. I'm actually happy about these because these were the only plaques that I haven't gotten, or one of the awards that we haven't gotten for fishing the TBF. I've gotten everything else, but I hadn't gotten the team tournament trail one of these plaques. It's not a first place, but hey, I wanted to get some plaques. I gotta take that off. We were able to get it done. Sorry about all that reverb. I had that other mic plugged in. I gotta unplug that thing. That's probably why people were leaving. We still got a couple minutes. Who's in here watching? Is that you, Avery? Guess I can type here. Shows that too. Does everything sound good? Can you guys hear me? I know I could hear myself when I had the headset on. Can you guys hear me? On the right side of your screen. Or you're probably watching from your phone, but I don't know. Say something in the chat. Let me know you guys can hear me. Let me know everything's good. I was having reverb. Unplugged that mic, so I think we're good to go now. So we got a couple minutes. I can fire it up. Hey, if you guys got any questions, though, I mean, go ahead, type them in. I kind of want to wait till at least 8 just so people that are joining. We got 4 in here now. I guess I can kind of, we'll just go ahead and get it started. So let's kick this thing off. All right, you guys. Yeah, oh, you sound good on my end. That's good. All right, you guys, welcome back to The Juice. Today is going to be a good one. We're going to talk about a lot of things. I don't know if anyone on here fishes a lot of Bugs Island. Avery just joined the chat. He was my partner, my co-angler. Call him a co-angler. We always make good decisions together, but he was with me during the tournament this past weekend and all through practice. Was anyone else out there this weekend, not just on Bugs Island, any other body of water here in Virginia, anyone else have to deal with all that wind, cold weather? I mean, we go from 80 degrees, beautiful weather, to all of a sudden just going to straight doo-doo of straight 40 degrees with 25, 30-mile-an-hour winds, 40-mile-an-hour gust. I mean, it was getting rough. I mean, we were out there. The practice day wasn't as bad. We made some runs, did things like that. But come tournament day, it was. I mean, you'll hear about it later on in the show. I mean, it was interesting. I know there are a lot of people out there. There was a couple other tournaments going on. I know my buddy, he was fishing that ABA out there, and their boat broke down. And I told him, I was like, that's bad. I mean, breaking down on the water out there. There were at least 4-foot rollers. But he was able to get it. He got lucky. He got a striper boat, a big striper boat. They were able to tow him back. So, again, any of you guys out there, any of you guys were fishing this week and had to deal with those types of conditions? I mean, I'm going to jump into it here in a second. I just waiting for more people to get in. We got 6 watching. That's good. If they miss it, they can go back and watch it later. But anyway, so I kind of want to start off with how... Hopefully I'm not talking too loud on the microphone. I get excited when I have a good tournament. But I'm going to go kind of break down our practice first, and what we did, kind of how we laid out our game plan. If you watched any of the previous live chats or the live streams that I do, I kind of talked about what my game plan would be on what I thought was going to happen at Bugs Island. But really, a lot of times for that type of tournament anyways, I don't know a lot until I really get on the water. And, we arrived to Bugs Island at about 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, way before the sun came up. We're putting in, and we ended up putting in over at Rudd's for practice. We had a house that we were staying at up in Bluestone. The tournament was going out in North Bend, and and there was 2 tournaments going on in North Bend, so I wasn't trying to put in there on the tournament day, and so a good halfway point was Rudd's. We put in at Rudd's just because we had to drop a boat off and some other stuff. But my goal was to put in at Rudd's, kind of fish around and kind of just get a feel for the way the fishing was. And, it started off great. I don't know if, you guys can reply in the comments here if anyone else knows. I always thought the shad spawn happened more so after the bass spawn. I knew the bass weren't going to be spawning, but I didn't know if there was going to be a shad spawn going on. I know I've been to Bugs Island around this time of year in April, and the shad spawn was going on while the bass were spawning and things like that. And the reason I'm asking if any of you guys have any thoughts on that, whether it's before, after, or it doesn't really matter. It just, the shad do it when they want to do it when the water gets right. But, practice the first 20 minutes, it started off great. I thought water's up 302, right? Actually, it was 303 the day before. I think it was like 302.5 or whatever it may be. And so my idea was I'm going to take a fluke, skip it around in bushes, flooded bushes, burn it out of there, try to get some bites, try to trigger some strikes. And we went through the bridge and started on just a little point there that had some brush, had some bushes, flooded in the water. I fished there a few times, like every time I go. It's a good little quick spot to hit. And right off the bat, Avery got bit on a top water. I don't know, what would you call that, Avery? Is that just a paddle frog? Just a plain paddle frog, just reeling it through the trees and the bushes. And I'm just fishing a fluke, skipping through those bushes on a spinning rod. And like what I like to do is I rig that on a spinning rod with about, I think I had like 10-pound braid. I should have had 20-pound braid, but I haven't re-rigged my rod since St. Lawrence on my spinning rod. So St. Lawrence River had a 10-pound test. But real quick, Avery got bit on the frog on top water, on the buzz toad. That's what it is, buzz toad. Hang on. Awesome. Okay. Hang on. Just got a text. Hang on. Okay, cool. All right, cool. So, anyways, I started off by skipping that, but Avery got bit on the buzz frog or buzz toad real quick. And then literally about 50 yards down the stretch, I was excited. I was thinking to myself, hey, he got bit, I'm going to get... And then I was like, he got bit shallow right off the bat. And so I just was like, okay, well, let's just burn the trolling motor and just go down the bank. And literally about 50 yards down the stretch, another little patch of bushes. I cast in there. I'm burning it out. Fish comes up, hits it. I set the hook on it, and it breaks my line. I guess that's why the 10-pound test braid. I think the line got caught in the eyelet of the hook, and it just snapped. But that gave me a good clue, so I thought. I thought that, oh, man, we got a bite on top water, and then another bite on top water real quick. And then 2 bushes down, I get another bite, and then another bite. We had 3 or 4 bites, literally in the first 10 minutes of fishing. And so I was like, okay, so my game plan is kind of coming together there. And that was talk about ghost fish. And that's why I was talking about that shad spawn, because after that we did not get, I don't know, Avery, how long was it since we didn't get another bite for a long time. We went maybe 2 hours, 3 hours without a bite. It was weird. So that's why I was wondering about the shad spawn, because the only thing that could explain that, because we fished 100 bushes and only got bit in like the first 10 minutes in 3 of them, and then nothing after that. So that was kind of strange. But my thinking was, man, maybe we hit a shad spawn early. Maybe I was like, because there's no way we just happen to hit the right bushes. When they're in the bushes, you know when you're flipping or fishing around good bushes there. And we ended up going the rest of that, 3 hours really without a bite. We saw birds working. We saw a lot of birds working all over the place in Rudd's. We found a pocket back in. Okay, if you're going in Rudd's, instead of going up to Rudd's boat landing, you go up the other arm, go under that bridge, and just go straight back. There's a pocket straight back there with some docks. And we saw some birds working in there. And when I pulled in there, 1 hour, 2 hour, one near bridge, yep. And when we pulled in there, we saw the birds working, but I was like, let's go fish these docks. Good docks, good water on them, anywhere from 10 out from the front of the dock all the way to, to the bank shallow. And basically, I was seeing those birds working back in the pocket, but I hate chasing after birds. You chase after birds, the next thing you know, by the time you get there, they're all gone. And so we fished those docks, and there was bait everywhere. Bait scattered throughout that whole creek, all around the docks. I skipped under the dock, and I think that was when we caught like our second or our first, literally our first fish, because we didn't hook any of the first ones. Broke one off, didn't hook the other, But the fact was, all that bait in those pockets and in those coves, like, if I saw bait, I knew there would be fish around. But that's also going to come back to later on tournament day. We'll get there on that theory as well. But, so we had gotten bit. I caught one under that dock. And so, I ran back down towards North Bend. I hit some stuff that I had in Eastland and just couldn't find the fish. I checked offshore stuff. I checked rock piles off of points that were shallow, typical stuff I fish there usually in the summer that I always get bit on, just checking it, because we had fish shallow, we had fish mid-depth range, we're fishing docks, we're fishing bushes, we're fishing rocks, we're flipping, we're doing everything. And I'm just like, how can you go from getting boom, 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 or boom, 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 3 bites, on quick succession, and then not even get a bite for the next couple hours, and then you go flip a dock. You're eventually going to get bit flipping a dock. But when we ran out deep and I checked my spots, my rock piles, my points in Eastland, out by North Bend, didn't get any bites. There wasn't any fish there. Wasn't really any bait there. All the bait seemed to be in the creeks. Every creek I went into, every long cove I went into, just sitting out in those ditches. And there were fish there. I would see fish. We sat around that one pocket up in Rudd's, and I'm casting the umbrella rig. I'm casting jerk baits. I had a nice fish come up, look at my jerk bait, just didn't eat it. And after I sat, I wasted about 30 minutes or so doing that, and I was like, this isn't, I didn't think it was going to be worth doing. You know, I was hoping I would be able to go out there and do active target, the live scope, fishing, but I knew going in, you know, we were going to have 30-mile-an-hour winds. It was going to make it very difficult to do that, and it's going to be hard to run around to find. You're going to be wasting so much time trying to find fish, running around in waves that really you couldn't run around in. I mean, so like I said, in practice, don't forget. Oh, I'll talk about the duck. That's tournament morning. I almost forgot about the duck. But oh god. Anyways, so we went down. I mean, like I said, I went to Eastland. I ran down to North Bend. I checked some stuff around there, and then we ran back. I believe it's Palmer's or Keats or whatever people call it. Went back in there, just checking some stuff, checking bushes, just because, like I said, we started in Rudd's, and the thing was, if anyone was out on the water this weekend at Bugs Island or anywhere around Virginia, it was muddy. I mean, conditions were not good, you know. We got in Rudd's, water looked clear, but I mean, early in the morning, you can't really tell how clear the water is early in the morning until that sun gets up, and then you start going, okay, it's kind of muddy. You get out on the main lake, really muddy. But so I was like, let's go run down towards the dam, fish around there, get some clearer water. I got down there, and I didn't really like that either. You know, I don't like super clear water, but we got down there, fished around, and it was the same thing. You know, it was just we weren't getting bites. I mean, it was a miserable practice. I mean, I was not excited about the tournament. I was just like, I knew what the wind was going to be. I knew what everything was going to be like. Oh, thank you, Jeremy. Yeah, no. Yeah, I'm glad. Like I said in the beginning of this, I'm happy to win that. I've been wanting to get one of those trophies. I mean, like I said, not a first place, but it doesn't matter. I wanted to get that hardware. It's the only one I don't have from the TBF. And, of course, the National Championship trophy. I don't have that, but I got the district and all that, so I was excited to win that. But, again, so let's see, a.k.a. I hate clear water. Yeah, I don't like the clear water. I don't mind it when I'm fishing for fish on a bed. I like the clear water. I like looking at them, or if the fish are around. But they just weren't around. I mean, we went down to check that clear water, and I said, you know what? Let's leave here. And we ran up to Grassy. Everyone knows Grassy Creek on Bugs Island. I don't fish a lot, but we ran up there, and it was blown out. I didn't think it was going to be blown out. So, I mean, Rudd's was good water clarity. Down Lake was good. The main river or the main way down, yeah, that was straight. It was straight like clay. But I think Bluestone was good. So I think all those creek arms on that side were pretty much decent. I didn't run up into the one next to Rudd's, but like I said, we got to Grassy, fished around, ran way in the back. You know, and when I see muddy water, let's see, I just get a lot of 10th place finishes. Don't know what hardware. That ain't true. You catch them. Sometimes you just need to go fish for those bigger bites, though, Jeremy. It's not about getting a limit all the time. But, anyways, so I mean, Grassy was muddy, blown out, but usually when it gets like this time of year, you know, when it gets super muddy, I like to go really shallow. Like, I think Lake Norman, but this was in the fall, you know. Fall and spring are completely different. Yeah, same water temperatures, same things like that, but the fish are doing a different transition. There's a transition from shallow to deep and deep to shallow. So a warming trend and a cooling trend, like spring and fall, are completely opposite of each other. But like I said, Lake Norman, I went straight dirt shallow, and you know, I caught some good ones in like a foot of water, and that's what I wanted to do up in Grassy. I know I checked. Me and Avery, we ran and we checked some dirt shallow stuff, and it wasn't happening. I caught one on a crankbait in Grassy, and I said, you know what? Let's run back to Rudd's. We'll finish our day in Rudd's. And I was like, if you go back, you guys can go back on here and watch one of my videos. If you watch my Kerr Lake breakdown, you'll actually see the spring breakdown, and you'll see where I fished on that, because I went back to those same creeks, those same arms that I talk about where fish pull up to spawn. And this was just proof that I was right. I mean, of course, we weren't the only ones that fish. I mean, it got so windy in the tournament, everyone was just like, run to a creek and stay there. Let's see. Grassy one, random fish, liar. One random fish, liar. Yeah. Yeah, no. So hang on. We'll get to that, Avery. Did that fish lie to me? I knew it was windy. I know when it's windy. I like to be a power fisherman. I like to throw crankbait. I threw the hell out of some crankbaits, chatterbaits, spinnerbaits. Never got bit. I threw it around points, bushes, steep banks. I caught one in Grassy on the steep bluff wall. But I don't even think it might have been a keeper. Did you notice the males behind the females? No, I mean, we were catching a lot, or, well, I don't say we were catching a lot. We caught maybe 8 fish in 2 days, but they were the right 8 or right 5. A lot of people were catching a lot of those bucks up in the bushes and shallow and stuff like that. And I'll get to where, I caught those bigger females and stuff. I think the males were... I think there's so many males anyways. There's always males behind the females. I mean, there were males up shallow. I caught, a lot of fish that I was catching, under the dock in some areas were white. They hadn't been up. They were just starting to pull up in that, that 10-foot range. If I looked at both those females, though, like you said, I'll say this. Both those females, I caught one looked like she had been shallow for a little while. And that other one, she looked like she had just pulled up. Let's see. But yeah, so, I mean, back to what I was talking about in practice, fish can lie. We had fish. Everything was so random. It was we caught fish on my creature bait, one on a shaky head worm, one on a crankbait. Never could get bit twice doing the same thing or fishing the same type of stuff. Here, let me adjust this camera. Feel like I look a little small. There we go. Perfect. Sorry. It was kind of distracting me. But all but one fish was white. It seemed to be fresh. Yeah, most of those fish were really fresh, Avery. Like I said, those ones I caught under that dock, and I caught 2 fish under that. One in practice, and I ended up catching one under that dock in the tournament. Topwater. Like I said, in practice, the first 10 minutes, boom, boom, boom. Every bite was a topwater. I'm skipping a fluke. Avery's throwing the buzz toad. And we got bites, and then the rest of the time never got a bite on that stuff again. That's why I think we hit a shad spawn or a light shad spawn, and that's why it was able to go down like that on the first 10 minutes of practice. So that really, that threw us for a loop because, I started being okay, they're shallow, they're in the bushes. Let me run this and doing this, doing that. And people caught them in the bushes, but I'm not going to sit there and try to fish 1,000 bushes if I'm not getting bit in a 99% of them. So I kept going back to it, trying to keep it honest. I was keeping everything. I ran all the way back in the far back of ruds, where you couldn't go anymore to go dirt shallow trying to fish. It was so weird. I don't know if anyone else was out there, but it was strange. I talked to my buddy, he fished the ABA. He said he was catching them on chatterbait, crankbaits, and he said he caught them on spinnerbaits. I had 2 bites. I think it was in practice. So I'll go back to kind of practice there. So after we kind of explored the lake, I told myself I wasn't going to go up Nutbush because we were supposed to have a west wind of 20 miles an hour with 30, 40 mile an hour gust. So I knew usually Nutbush is going to get blown out, a west wind. Well, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe the west wind blows out Nutbush. And, so I was I didn't even mess with going up there. And so at the end of the day of practice, I was let's go back into Ruds, spend the last couple hours around in Ruds, and fish these creeks that I have on my YouTube channel that, is one of my lake breakdowns. I'm fishing in there. And let's see. Hang on. We got some Jeremy May talking. I was catching them on a pooper, a popper, there when the water was 52 degrees this year. Has been crazy for sure. 2 weeks ago, jerkbait. Yeah, see, I picked up a jerkbait, but that water temp when we were there was 62 degrees, 61 degrees. I mean, the main lake areas was like 56, 57. I wanted to throw a jerkbait. I threw a jerkbait, using active targeting and stuff like that, but I feel like a couple weeks ago you could almost just run points and areas at the right water depth and throw a jerkbait and catch them. Yeah, so like I said, later in the day we went back into one of those creek arms, and we're just fishing down the bank. Avery's fishing slow plastic. I'm throwing a spinnerbait. I'm like, it's windy out. I want to get on a moving bait bite, and he starts getting bites. He gets a bite. He doesn't set the hook. Then he gets another bite, and I said, set the hook, and he sets the hook. He caught it. That one was about a 3-pounder. And that kind of clued us in on the thing was like, Rudd's was the best water. I mean, I found cleaner water, but I wasn't looking for clean, clear water. I wanted that happy mixture, and Rudd's was just like perfect watercolor. It was a nice stain, but not like dirt. It was nice. I enjoyed it. It's like my type of fishing. And Avery started getting bit on plastic, and I hadn't caught a fish in 5 hours. I mean, and then he gets another bite. I think he caught another one, gets another bite. So I start crawling a plastic, and that's just brutal for me. Let's see, Nutbush, north and south. Nutbush is north and south wind. It blows in. I always felt like if I look at a map, let's see here. Let me see if I can do something. No, that's too much. My brain can't handle that right now. See, I thought I thought Nutbush runs east to west or west to east. So I figured if it was coming out west, it'd blow down Nutbush. And then the Panhandle, is that what you guys call the river? I don't know. That would have been more of a northwest. Well, anyways, the day of the tournament, we got more of a northwest wind, it felt like. And it was blowing down the river and across from Rudd's to, the dam area. Not so much in Nutbush. But anyways, we'll get to that. I mean, we were crawling plastics, and I mean, basically, he got a bite, and then I was like, I got a bite, and I said, you know what, I cast back, I have to catch a fish. I got to catch a fish. Cast back in there, get a bite, set the hook on, catch one. And so then after that, Avery catches another one. We said, we're done with practice, just trying to find something to get a bite on. We had nothing to really go on except, hey, it's going to be blowing 25 miles an hour, 30 mile an hour gust. We're just going to go where we got bites. We're going to go to Rudd's on the day of the tournament, and we're just going to stay in there all day long. Let's see. On Panoptics with those moving baits. They would fall. Dude, I had some fish. I caught plenty of white bass and white perch, couple striper. But the bass were a little finicky. I mean, I caught one on it, but they were kind of just, if I found one by itself, occasionally that one would be really active. I had one come up, spin on it, swim around it, come back, hit it, but he just wouldn't get the bait. And then, a lot of times they wouldn't commit. They'd come real slow at it. They would follow it, and just never eat it. And when I saw that, I tried it in the tournament, but I didn't want to waste too much time like that. You can waste a lot of time chasing fish with your active target. Let's see. But yeah, if they were going to be more aggressive, like even I threw a jerkbait at one, and I mean, he came up to it, and they just wouldn't eat it. They wouldn't eat it. I twitch it, and he'd follow it. I'd twitch it again, he'd follow it, and then, then eventually he just peeled off. But, like I said, you can waste a lot of time doing that, especially knowing it was going to be super windy in the tournament. I was like, it's going to be hard to fish that way. And there wasn't a lot. Wasn't a lot of fish. Like I said, in the creeks, in the ditches, there was a lot of bait and a lot of fish around, but you couldn't get any of them to bite. It was difficult, and I knew there was a better way to try to catch them. But so like I said, on the first day of the tournament, like the game plan was to just go to Rudd's, hunker down, nose to the grindstone, and just grind it out, nitty-gritty fishing. And believe me, it was nitty-gritty. I mean, we went from talking about leaving early to this and that, blah, blah, blah. Let's see. Hang on, I got people texting me. I got clients, work people texting me. Okay, that can wait. Anyways, I mean, but that was our goal. And I know I got a couple spots on Bugs Island that I like to always fish on the main lake. Great places to fish in the morning. And see, if you guys have any questions about Bugs Island as I'm going along, just shoot it in the comments. I'll answer it. If you want to hear me break down something a little more on what I'm doing, which I eventually will, I'll get through the tournament and everything and then kind of go back through the process. And I'm going to break it down as I go. But just shoot a comment in the comment section, and I'll get to it and answer it. Let's see. Just asked me because I was curious if there's signs when to go bottom contact baits. Well, you could see this. Most of the fish were on the bottom. See, like, there were some fish suspended, but not a ton. You'd see a lot of fish come up off the bottom. And the thing is, you can't see it when they're right on the bottom. They're hard to make out. You might see like a little morphing. Like if this was the bottom, you'd see like a little, I almost call it like inch worming on the bottom. And then all of a sudden you'd reel like your bait and you'd see a fish rise up. So a lot of those fish were on the bottom. And I mean, trust me, I'm sitting there fishing. Avery's out back dragging something on the bottom. And I'm seeing fish everywhere, like chasing bait on the bottom, coming off the bottom, back to the bottom. So I know there's fish around. So we're dragging everything and we're still not getting bit. But like I said, come tournament day, I got a lot of places I like to fish. But like I said, we were going to head to Rudd's and just hunker down, because you're not going to be running around on Bugs Island in 25-mile-an-hour winds, 30-mile-an-hour gust. You can, but you're wasting time and you're going to beat yourself to death. But I tried to pull up on one of my points first thing in the morning. There was 3 other boats on it, literally. There were so many there were a lot of tournaments out there this weekend. I think it was like 3 of them. Well, 4 of them. I know it was ours, TBF, ABA, Fishers of Men, and there was some other tournament too. There was a ton of boats out there. But let me drink some water. So we ended up, my first spots didn't pan out because there was too many people there, and I wasn't seeing fish. I was able to scan around. I wasn't seeing fish. I wasn't seeing bait, and I said, let's just go to Rudd's. We went to Rudd's. Where'd we go? Where'd we start, Avery? Oh, we went to the spot where we had those bites real quick in the morning. It was boom, boom, boom. It was brutal. I got so frustrated with the wind, it took me out of it. We packed it up around noon. How did you keep your Ned? My head wasn't right. No, it's just, you got to stay positive. I huff and puff and I get angry, but I'm never out of it. It just helps me cope with it, how nasty and brutal it is. And I've done it a lot. Jeremy can contest to this. After going up north to Lake Oneida last year and the St. Lawrence River, dealing with 25-mile-an-hour winds every day on those lakes, you get used to it. You get as used to it as you can. But yeah, we were sitting there, we were like, well, I think we had 2 fish. And it's 2 o'clock. We got to check in at 3:45. We had 2 fish. But before even that time came, we were already I put in at Eastland. Because I was 2 tournaments going out of, excuse me guys, going out of North Bend. I was it's going to take forever to put a boat in. So I put in at Eastland, drove over to North Bend for the takeoff. And it was a good decision because there were still boats putting in for the next hour. So, but we were talking about, if we only have 2 fish, at least we don't have to go all the way back to the boat ramp or back to the weigh-in. We can just dump our fish, put the boat on the trailer and go.
one point we were like, if you're too frustrated or this is too getting just ridiculous, I'm okay with leaving early. And I was like, I've never left a tournament early, never will. Because it can change real quick. I know it's happened 100 times. That's usually when it does happen. I went into menopause due to Oneida waves. Dude, Oneida destroyed my trolling motor multiple times. My boat got destroyed at Oneida really badly. I think it was Oneida. It was either Oneida or St. Lawrence, where actually one of the bolts that holds my motor on came out, and like my slide plate was like literally dangling down and holding on by a thread. And a good thing I didn't lose that. I almost lost it all. I was able to go to Lowe's and get another bolt and washer and slide that in. But I'm going to have to check it after this past run that I just did. I'm sure I'm going to have some stuff that's loose there. But, you got to keep your head in the game, man. You can't just give up. I always fish till the last possible minute. And this tournament was no different. I just kept thinking different things. Me and Avery were bouncing things off of each other. And even at one point, I looked at him and I said, dude, I just feel like I'm beating my head against a brick wall. I had been throwing everything in this tournament. We fished all the stuff that we had fished the day prior, did everything we got bites on, caught another one off that dock. Avery's in the back throwing wacky. He's doing all the finesse. I'm doing finesse, somewhat, power, both. Picking up squarebill, chatterbait, spinnerbait, just fishing what's in front of me. If it's a dock, I'm skipping it. If it's a point, I'm cranking it. I'm spinnerbaiting it. If it's a butt, etc. And not getting bit. But finally, I just said, we went back to where we started getting bites at the end of the day prior. We went in there. I missed a fish on a laydown, which it was a decent fish. It was a better keeper than our smallest. We had like a 12-incher, literally like a fish that didn't even weigh a pound. I don't think, Avery. I don't think that fish weighed a pound. And then we had like a 2.5 pounder or a 2-pounder, and that was it. And so we started doing some other. I said, okay. We fished this area, we fished this stretch, nothing. We're doing everything, the same thing over and over. And I said, let's go to this pocket. Let's go to that pocket. Well, I pulled into a pocket, okay? And it was a little different than the rest. It wasn't that the pocket was different. It had some different type of, everything was the same as the previous three, but it had specific stuff that was a little different. It wasn't so slow. It wasn't a slow sloping bank. You could actually see hard cut bank where it looked like it overhung or cut over, basically where the clay had washed out, and it was just a cut out bank. I don't know how else to describe it. It wasn't just a typical, fall down and thing. It was like hard cut. Then it rounded out at the back of the pocket, had a house there, had some rip. It just had some different aspects to it. One side was a little steeper, the other side was a little slow sloping. And we pull in there, got the first we got, yes. So we're fishing around in this, I think it was the pocket, a pocket up from that. Like, we're just going one pocket to the next, just like every other boat out there, from the next to the next. And like, as we're fishing these pockets, we got one boat coming in, two boats coming in, two boats leaving, three boats coming. There was a ton of boats out there, and it was just like, I felt like we were just constantly fishing recycled water. And Avery had ended up catching one on a wacky worm, Cinco, and he wasn't even, like, this is how random everything was between practice and the tournament. He's sitting there saying something to me. We're talking about how cruddy the fishing is. He's jerking, he's like reeling in his wacky worm, and next thing I know, he goes, I got a fish. In like 6 inches of water, up against, on like the tiniest little twig branch, laying in the water, and catches. That was a decent one. It was a decent keeper, 2-pounder. So we had probably like 3 fish for maybe 4.5 pounds, something like that. Anyways, so I said, so I kind of ran that a bit, and we fished some more, throwing everything fishing. crankbait on some, you got the grass growing up on the side of the bank, you got wood coming off, you got rock, you got clay, throwing the crankbait, wind's blowing in, everything seems perfect for like what I like to do and what I want to do and have wanted to do. But with the wind blowing so bad, like I wasn't going to go out there and try to battle the wind to do all that, because I wasn't even getting bit out there. Everything we seemed to catch was in the backs of these pockets. It wasn't at the mouth, wasn't at, occasionally it was kind of midway down, but it was like in the cove, in a pocket off the cove, or in the cove all the way in the back. And like I said, we ran down to the next cove down, next pocket. And like I said, it was one of those coves that just had a few different things in it. It was everything else was the same, but it just had a few different things. Hard cut bank section, some riprap in the back from a dock, some bushes back there. So and like I said, it had a steeper bank on one side, a slow sloping bank on the other. And so I'm going down, and I said, screw it, we're running out of time, wind's blowing, water's muddy. I pick up the square bill, and I said, I'm locking this thing in my hand the rest of the day. I said, I can't flip to any more stuff because that is not getting me bit. And Avery had made a point, because we were talking about it, we said to ourselves, these fish, there's like 20 boats everywhere we go. Coming and going, all fishing, flipping. And he even said it. How do you catch a fish that has seen every bait known to man in the last 5 hours? And, I was thinking, a reaction bite. Make them bite it. Avery's thinking the same thing. But we hadn't gotten a bite on it really in 2 full days. And, I just finally said, I'm picking it up. That's my favorite bait, my go-to. Chartreuse, blackback. I mean, that thing's just beautiful. I mean, this will never go out of style. This is a fish catching machine. That's a 2.5, by the way. And it catches big ones. I've done pretty well with that bait. As Avery knows, and most people that know me know. Let's see. How much time did you spend in each cove? Did you move a lot or pick them apart? I mean, we picked them apart. I picked apart the coves where we had gotten bit in practice. Where we had gotten bit in practice, slow working plastics, we picked those apart pretty good. And that's when I'm sitting there like, dude, I'm beating my head against the wall, like over and over. I mean, straight insanity. I mean, it was brutal. But I moved around a lot. I mean, we fished basically every pocket, every cove. I threw an A-rig on the bridge pilings, got a bite there, just didn't connect. I did everything from, like I said, everything from active target, A-rig, throwing my shake, all my baits down there, everything at them, fishing docks, bridge pilings, boat ramps, dirt shallow, far backs, far out towards the mouth, this pocket, that pocket, this cove. It was if I'm going to break something apart, I need to know there's fish there. If I'm going to pick it apart, I need to know there's fish there. So I was able to, and we had gotten bites, slow dragging. So that's what allowed me to kind of stay in the game and do that for so long. But after 3 hours of not getting bit, something had to change. And this is where I just need to learn to go with my gut. But I think what the issue is the fish were so few and far between that in practice, maybe I wasn't giving myself enough time with a bait. I threw the crankbait a lot in practice. I only got one bite, Like, if you're not getting a lot of bites, I feel like that can kind of stray you away from what's working. Because I think I just had to deal with the fact that I was going to get bit on this bait if I threw it long enough, but, the baits were going to be few and far between. You'll catch one, and then you'll go like an hour or two, catch another one, or maybe you'll catch two, boom, boom. Then you'll get nothing for a couple hours, then you'll run into them again, and then boom, boom. And it's very hard to get on something like that when practice doesn't have a tempo. I like knowing what my tempo is kind of gonna be. And at the end of practice, we got bit slow dragging those baits. So that's what kind of allowed me to kind of sit there and pick those areas apart. And but when I got, like I said, so when we got back to that one pocket, and like I said, everything was the same, but it had a few things that were different. Steeper bank, some deeper, it was like a steep laydown, hard cut bank, rock, rip, actual chunk rock, rip wrap. And like I said, a hard cut bank. It wasn't just slow slipping; it would just and cut just like the bank fell away, and it was just hard bottom, everything there. And we get to the back. I'm throwing that square bill. We get to the back, and I cast it literally all the way in. It's like a Y pocket. So you got. Let me see if I can do this. It kind of splits off like this, and then it's got like a little dome shape here. And right here was the back of the pocket, or the dome piece. There we go, the dome piece, and that had riprap on it and a bush. I cast the 2.5 up there and literally get about, I think I got like 4 cranks on it, and that thing just stopped. I didn't say anything. I wasn't sure if it was a fish or not. I didn't say anything. I just held it there, and then all of a sudden I felt it start tugging back, and I said, "Avery, I got one." And I was like, at first I was like, it's a good one. Like I couldn't budge this fish. I literally held it there, and he was going with it. I'm holding him, and he's just he's holding his ground, not moving. Finally, he starts swimming, and I thought I had snagged something at first. I was like, man, I think I snagged a carp. I mean, I could not budge this fish at all. Finally, that fish. Let's see. Hang on. Just checking the comments. That fish ended up coming up to the surface and jumping, and I said, "Oh my God!" I was like, "Oh my God!" It was about it was a 6-pounder, basically 5.94 pounds. But I mean, and the thing was, it was basically this was the same thing I had been doing for the past 20 hours. 20 hours of fishing. I mean, all in practice, doing the same thing, throwing the square bill, doing those same things. We ended up catching that one. We got that one, got him in the net. Funny, though, she was bleeding, which was kind of strange. She didn't get the hook down her throat. She was hooked inside the mouth. Like, obviously, it was a reaction strike. I just brought it past her face, and she just bit onto it. I think, the rope or the line had gotten wrapped around her. I think that's why I don't know. It was weird because I know with smallmouth when you're drop shot fishing and things like that, that line will get wrapped around the fish occasionally, cut its gill a bit. But we threw it in the live well. Threw it in the live well, and I told Avery at that point. I said, now I know finally I think I know what I'm looking for, which is weird because I had fished a lot of stuff that looked like that. I feel like I did, but maybe we didn't. I don't know. But so we're in this cove. We caught that one. We had a boat that had followed us in there before I caught this fish, and they had cranked a little area behind me, and they left. And I was like, I started cranking this spot. I said, let me go crank what they were cranking because I wanted to crank there. But the problem was I was fishing the other side of the bank, and I'm not going to go across the cove and cut off a guy and start fishing back towards him. So I cut across the cove and went down to the next good spot that I saw that I really wanted to get to, and that's where I ended up actually catching that big one. They had cranked up and left before I even caught the fish because I guess they didn't get a bite. And I said, I fired up the big motor, and I was like, Avery, let's just idle up here. I was like, he's like, we already cranked this. I was like, yeah, but we didn't crank this. We didn't fish this. And so we started working back our way out that cove. And this is on, like I said, guys, this is on that steeper bank. This is what you hear about all the time. Hang on, let me take a sip before I get into this explanation. Before I explain this. But it's just your typical area. You hear about it all the time, your pre-spawn area, the last steep bank, the last bit of wood, or last deep structure, blah, 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 before you get back into the far back. And I'm telling you, we're not too far from the far back. We're 100 yards, maybe 75 yards from the back of the pocket, and we're on that steeper bank. And I'm casting, I'd been fishing a lot of shallow stuff, and I was like, I need to cast off deeper because the water's up. So I was trying to fish the old shoreline, I guess you would say. So I was thinking, the fish haven't pulled up shallow yet, so they're probably still hanging off on that deeper stuff or the original bank. You hear about that all the time. Fish won't, just because the water goes up, they won't pull up to the next structure. They'll stay on the old water line and the old shoreline or the bank. So I start casting off, and I'm casting about 6 foot of water, and I make a cast, and I'm cranking it through, and I hit a bunch of brush. And that's when like I said, if you watch one of my crankbait, I think it might even be on one of my shorts on the crankbait, but when I'm fishing a square bill, I'm wanting to bang into things, bounce off of things, make contact with things. I'm not afraid to get hung up with the bait. It's going to happen, but most of the time, you're not going to get hung up, and you're going to get more strikes, you're going to get more bites. And I'm cranking, that bait's coming down, I'm throwing it on 15-pound fluorocarbon, and I'm using a 7-foot rod. It's actually a Falcon rod. It says it's a medium heavy, but it feels more like a medium heavy moderate. It's not a fast action tip, so it's got some soft tip to it and everything. So I'm cranking with that. And I cast, like I said, I casted it out about 5 feet, 10 feet off the bank, cast about 5 feet. I bang into a bunch of brush, and I said to myself, I should have got bit there. Like, when you come through some good brush, and it's like doom, doom, and you tick off of it, and usually when you tick off it, that's when you get bit. Well, I didn't get bit, but I said to myself, I should have got bit there. Like, there should have been a bite right there. And I repeat the cast, make the same cast. I get it halfway back to the boat, and it was a good bite. I mean, it literally went tick, and then I felt a kadoof, and then she turned, and she choked it. She hit that, she had the hook, she was bleeding, she had it deep. She had the front hook in her throat. So that means she came, hit that thing head on, hit it, swam, turned. It was a great bite, and that was, so we had the 5.9, and the other one was basically the same size. I didn't really know which one to weigh, but all this, guys, this went down. Like I said, we had 3 fish at like 2 o'clock. We got to check in at 1 or 3:45. And remind you, it's blowing 25, 30 mile an hour winds, 40 mile an hour gust. We're about, on a calm day, we're probably 15-minute ride, 10-minute ride. I'd say about 15-minute ride from North Bend on a calm day. We're all the way up in Rudds. And like I said, this is like literally, 3 fish. We went from 3 fish, talking about leaving early, talking about miserable day of fishing. I'm going to not lie. It was a miserable day of fishing. This is how random it all went. It is, if you think about it, it was random fish, miserable fishing, good day for fishing, for catching big fish, catching fish and random stuff with random stuff, doing random things, no fish the same way twice. The only fish I caught doing the same thing twice was the 2 on the crankbait. But that was just me going with my gut, knowing, dude, it's windy. It's got to be a moving bait deal. It's got to be somewhere. And the thing was, it was being able to make those casts and make that second cast. After I made that first cast and I hit that structure, hit the wood, whatever it was I hit, knowing from past experience, that's when I should get bit, to go ahead and repeat that same cast. And on the second cast, I caught that next fish. And that's just, that's how quick things can change. That's where time on the water, having experience, and just not letting things like get in your, not letting your emotions, your thoughts, and everything get the best of you. Always staying in the game, because anytime it can change. Same thing happened to me at the national championship. 35 mile an hour winds, raining, snow. not catching fish, blah, blah, blah. And then you just sit there and grind. Next thing you know, I end up winning our division down in Oklahoma. I catch 16 pounds on the second day with an umbrella rig. Oh, you want me to talk? I know we got to talk about, we got to talk about the bird. We got to talk about the bird. I know we got to talk about the bird. We caught 5 fish all day. We caught 5 fish all day. The previous day, we had caught 3 fish. We caught 5 fish all day. The persistence did pay off, Avery. It definitely does. How much time did you spend? Any other questions? All right, I'm going to tell you guys about the bird. Hang on. I need to take a sip of water. Oh, man. So, I've killed a lot of birds in my day. Avery didn't know this about me. But we're cruising into Rudd's. I'm going wide open. And so it's windy. I got my head down. I'm just looking. So I can't see anything out here, up here in the sky, anything like that. I'm just looking in front of me, going. And next thing I know, I see a bird. I mean, this bird comes right down, right by my motor, or right by the front of my boat. And she flies off. And I was like, okay. And so I raise my head a bit, and here comes bird number 2, literally. And he's not quite on the same track as that previous bird. And here's my boat. This is what I'm seeing. I see this bird, and I don't know why it's dropping down in front of me. Like, why didn't he just fly over me? No, dropping down low to the water. And I see it. I'm coming, and I see it right here. He gets about right there, and all of a sudden, I just hear and just splash. Bird was gone. And that's when I told Avery, I've killed a lot. He says he's never hit a bird. I've killed at least 4 or 5. But I spend a lot of time on the water, out on different bodies of water with lots of bird. But I just don't even. And this wasn't a duck. This was like, his wingspan was the size of my arms. I mean, this bird, it was bigger than a frigate. I think it was bigger than a frigate, Avery. That thing was like, its body was at least 3.5 feet. Its wingspan was literally just as big. I mean, it was it wasn't like it was like the size of a goose, bigger than a goose. I don't know why it decided to come down, but I don't know. I guess I felt bad. I don't know. I mean, I can't say karma, Avery, because we ended up catching 2 big ones. It was a big duck. I mean, it might have been it was like a swan. It was massive. Biggest one I've ever hit. I've hit all those little teals and those tiny little ducks that, for some reason, they decide to like fly up and then fly in front of you instead of like going over here with like thousands of acres of water. They want to come right in front of your boat. I don't understand it. Cormorant. Yep, cormorant. That's exactly what it was. I mean, that thing, like, they're black, had a little bit of white maybe. I mean, I looked it in the eye, like, before my boat took the wind out of his wings, and he didn't hit the motor or anything, but it just went off the side of the boat and splashed. I didn't have the GoPro was running, but it was so rough the GoPro was like down and out. But so anyways, we ended up catching those fish. I gotta talk about the run back, Avery. The run back was insane. So we're fishing, and I'm like, dude, we just need to call out this little fish we got. And I'm like, Avery's like, how long do you think we need to get back to the boat launch? And I said, we gotta give it at least an hour, because I haven't been on the main lake. We've been in Rudd's. I haven't looked. I was like, it could be really bad out there. It could not be really bad. But after being at Oneida and St. Lawrence and doing all that stuff, like, I knew I'd be able to handle it. So it's about, and like I said, this is me fishing till the last second. I mean, for some reason I was like thinking, we ran a couple more spots. I was like, dude, I want to go back to where we caught those 2, because I'm sure some more have pulled in there. They were pulling up as the day got long. And I look at Avery and I go, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, we got about another, I was like, I think we got about another half an hour to fish before we have to head back. Look at my phone. It's 3:10. We have to be back at weigh-in at 3:45. We peace out. We strap everything down. Strap all the rods down. Strap the trolling motor down. And then I just gun it out of there. The guy next to me fishing is looking at me like I'm crazy, like, because I just look at him and say, "Oh, we gotta go," and I'm just running around the boat, strap, gone. We get out there, and like I said, like I thought it was supposed to be a west wind. Well, apparently this wind is coming straight down the river section in front of Rudd's. Not too bad. I mean, maybe some 3-footers, nothing, 3-footers. I mean, I don't think that's too crazy. I mean, I'm wide open. I'm driving across the top of everything, steering through it. We get around that main point, and we start getting to the area where you can start seeing the islands. You can get to the area where you can see the park and everything, all the riprap. And it's just, all of a sudden the wind's like blowing straight from behind us. Instead of down the lake, all of a sudden it's like coming from behind us and across. And I just see boats just, didn't mean to hit the mic. I just see a bunch of boats, they're just idling slow. They're just like, I said no. I stayed on it, kept going. Finally, I hit an area where there's about 5 rollers that there's nothing you can do. Like, it was too late. You see these 5 big rollers, and they're just spaced out, and you're like, there's no way to avoid it. So I let off a bit, and I tried to ramp it off the wave to clear it to the next one. Literally, nose comes down, and I just see it. I'm like, it's gonna happen, and it just comes over. Water. Avery's drenched. My whole left side's drenched. I mean, we got a rain gear on and stuff. There's a foot of water in the bottom of the boat. Everything in the boat is just floating. Just floating in the bottom of the boat. I can't even get back on plane. I start pumping out. I'm like, Avery, I look at it. Avery's like, before that happened, Avery's like looking at me as I'm running. He's like, there's nowhere to get out of the wind. There's nowhere to, you can't like, I was like, nope, nothing you can do. We just got to go. Avery's like, just pump the water out. We're pumping the water out. I'm just staying on pad, and I'm kind of just surfing the waves, you know. I get on one, and then I just ride the wave down, and then come up the next one. But the whole time I got my nose up, I look at Avery. I go, we got 20 minutes, and we're like, I'm like, we can make it. Well, we end up getting there. We get all the way around the side. I mean, it was brutal. There was a bunch of other boats. They weren't even trying to run it. But you got to remember, my boat was at Eastland. I was like, we're not going back through that. We're going to get a ride to Eastland, get the truck and all that stuff. So I definitely appreciate Lynn Ho for giving us a ride to get my truck so I could come back and load the boat up at North Bend. Is Bob watching? Avery said Bob's watching. Well, Bob, if you're watching, I appreciate you letting us stay at your place. That was great. We're going to have to do it again because there's going to be at least 30 more tournaments out there that I will fish throughout my lifetime, I'm sure. So, but no, we got to get out there. I heard you guys caught some crappie on, what was it, Sunday? Did you take any home? Did you take them home, Avery? I know this has like a minute delay from my OBS to my YouTube. It's about a minute delay. I know you caught some. I didn't ask Avery if you guys took them home. Anyone else? Gosh, we've already been on here for 55 minutes. That's been a good day. I was super tired today. I did a lot of mulch today. All by myself. But so I mean, the tournament went well. You know, we got a 3rd place finish. We had 15.88 pounds. 2nd place was 15.89. I think that fish that lost some blood might have cost us a 2nd place finish. I want to reweigh like Bobby Lane. Reweigh it. But yeah, I mean that qualified too. So now me and Avery were qualified for the semi-national, free entry paid. So that saves us $200. We won Big Fish. Big Fish was a big deal. So that was good. So all in all, it turned out to be a good tournament. I tell Avery this a lot. I say sometimes my best tournaments are the ones that I have the worst practice in. And I don't know, I think that's just because I keep grinding and keeps my mind open to trying multiple different things. So, I don't know. I thought it was a great tournament. I thought it was a horrible day for fishing. Horrible weather for fishing. But, able to grind it out, stick it out, get it done. It was a good time. I had a blast, Avery. We caught some good fish. Did great with the net. I mean, and I suck at netting fish, but Avery did a very good job. I wasn't really worried at all. Was I, Avery? Oh. All right, you guys. Well, we had a lot of viewers come through today, so that's pretty cool, man. We had, I don't know. I mean, we had 18 watching a minute ago. We had 24 at one point. No, I appreciate you guys watching. I wish you guys would don't hesitate to pop in the chat, ask some questions, but it's 8:57. The wife, I heard her just slam the door on me. So she's probably asleep and wants me to shut up. So let me get off of here, you guys. I'm gonna maybe this is Monday. I could probably make it a Wednesday and Friday. We'll see. I'll stay tuned, stay posted on the Facebook. Watch that. I'll put out a little reminder when I'm gonna stream. Probably Wednesday or Friday. Don't know what I'm doing this weekend. Boats in the shop, getting the old trolling motor fixed up. That we had a little damage to the trolling motor from the spearing and some other issues, so that's getting fixed up. Hopefully me and Avery will get out on the Chickahominy and the James River here soon this weekend. Bassmaster Open is coming up here in 3 weeks, so I got 3 weeks to kind of prep for that. I got 2 weeks, so that gives me a couple days on the weekend to practice before I go all in for a whole week of practice for the Open. So I'm excited for that. Stay tuned. I'll have those. I will get videos on that. I tried to get videos on this one, but it was so rough. I'm going to get a different GoPro setup so I don't have to worry about the waves knocking my GoPro over every 5 seconds. And I'm going to have all that filmed, so I'll be able to get some footage for that, make a video on that. I'll do a breakdown on that. I don't know if I will do a or a practice video before the tournament on that. I'll talk about practice after that. I'm not going to post that on here. But I'll let you guys kind of know how it goes during practice of that as well. So stay tuned. Look out for that video. That live stream should be a good one. Hopefully there's a trophy back here, but a solid finish is what I'm looking for. To qualify for the elites, I'm looking for solid finishes. A trophy would be nice, but solid finishes, top 30s, top 25s, things like that. If we can do that, guys, we can make this thing happen. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. Stay tuned. Look for Facebook ads. I'll post something out there for either Wednesday or Thursday. Or Wednesday or Friday. We will be going live. And I appreciate you. I appreciate you guys tuning in, and I will see you guys next time. And stop.